Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is Shiny Ray. Today I'm here with Dablo, who is the GY Law player in the earlier video. He was playing really well. And we're here today going to talk about the top 5 red cards of all time in their respective formats they're in. So before we start, Dablo, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, hey everyone, my name is David, or Dablo, as some of you may know me as. Um, yeah, I think I've been playing One Piece since OPO1, so I thought it would be a good person to kind of give my perspective about, the red cards through the ages. Yeah, got a couple tops in the past, kind of know the format OPO2, OPO3 pretty well. Especially when red was the most dominant. So, yeah, let's talk about it.
So just for you all to know, the first time I met David was in Gen Con, and before we actually got there, our mutual friends like, "Oh, do you know this David guy just won a regional?" I was like, "Wait, what? He won first place regional?" And yes, he did win first place regional. What'd you win with, by the way?
Yeah, that was with Sakazuki, and I
Oh,
think like in OPO5, our testing group went super hard in testing. So we actually had a really good Nats showing. Like we had a ton of really good Sakazuki players in our testing group, and I think the win kind of came from carrying that Sakazuki practice a little bit into O6. And obviously in O6, Sakazuki became a lot easier to play because we just got Gecko Moria.
and got
And a
banned.
lot of games just came down to Gecko diff, unfortunately. But a lot of the cycling decisions and stuff like that, I think gave me small edges against other players.
For sure, for sure. But yeah, that was my first exposure to David. It's like, oh, he no big deal. It's just a guy that won the regional. But anyways, yeah, we're not here to talk about Sokka. That's why he got banned. All right, so let's start with number 5. Well,
Yeah, but you can bring me back
before.
when we talk about black cards. I'll be a good person for that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, so obviously when we look at best red card, I mean, look at this Gum Gum Red Rock. Best red card, right? Come on, like why is it not called the blue?
Boo.
Why is it not called the blue rock? It's called the red rock. Come on, this card is busted. Best red card. All right, well, I'm just kidding.
That card is quite good though. It's a very good card. But I'm sure
Anyways,
I'm sure you'll talk about it more in the blue video if you're making that one.
oh yes, yes. It. Oh yeah, and I'm just starting a series to talk about like all the best cards in a different color. And the spoiler alert, maybe Red Rock will be in there. We'll see. All right. Well, now, get back on the topic. Actual number 5, we have Rad Beam. So David, why don't you tell us why is it so good, and in this scenario, why is it like so good and bad to play against?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rad Beam was the most like overstated counter card when it first came out in OPO1. There was no other card that allowed you to counter one cost event for 4,000 without any other condition other than just being at 2 life. I mean, most decks just wanted to be at 2 life anyway, so that wasn't really much of a condition. So it was just like extremely strong. And especially in the context of a deck like OPO2 Whitebeard, that deck just took all of its life and then defended at 0 for multiple turns. So to have a 4K one cost counter, which is like the strongest counter card in the game, just made it like put it over the top. So it actually got banned at some point just because it was so strong in that deck. It was also very strong in the Rush Zoro deck back then because again, there's just so much counter value in one card. And Zoro played with a lot of aggression, and if you could have a ton of counter power in one card toward the end of the game, it's like impossible to kill you as well. So it's just all around a really strong card. It wasn't uncommon to see like a Whitebeard deck counter out of like a 22,000 hit with like 4 rat beams. So like,
Twenty-two
yeah, this card's
thousand. Wow,
pretty good.
that's ridiculous. Wow. Okay, I was not playing at that time because I mean now that we play, we all play giants, so I'm like, 4K counter. This is whatever. But I'm sure
Yeah,
like
like
during O
nowadays for
two.
sure, like Giant just blows this card out the water. But back then, like this card was amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean you said it got even banned at one point, right?
I believe so. It was either limited to one or banned. I kind of forgot.
Oh,
But
okay,
it was
okay.
definitely on the list because yeah, it was just so strong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially like you said in the context of playing Whitebeard, you want to take life anyway. So two life is almost like I mean you're just gonna have it. So all right, but yes, Rad Beam, very good card. That's out of OPO1 as an uncommon in the context of the format it's in. All right, so now moving on to number 4, we have okay. This is a newer card, a Gum Gum Mulgun. So I don't have, quite frankly, don't have much experience playing with this card. Why is this card so good, David?
Yeah, I think it's just such a flexible removal card. I think since OPO1, the kind of like standard for a four cost removal was Jet Pistol, and Jet Pistol just says remove something that's 6K or more. This one effectively says remove a 7K, which is just like hard power creep. Obviously, there's like the condition that you need a 6K on the board already, but that's usually a pretty easy condition to fill, especially since you could just attach Dawn to a weaker character and achieve that. So it's not much of a condition. It removes 7K, but also it's flexible in that it reduces by 5K, then pops at 2. So you could actually spread that across two different cards. So, for example, the popular scenario is when you're trying to break like an 8 cost kid board where they have like an 8 cost kid rested and a Rosinante blocker. You can go Mulgun, minus 5K to the rested kid, pop the Rosinante, and then swing your leader or whatever at the now 3K kid. So it's like a really one card way just to out that super strong board. Um, it also just kills Sanji Pudding, which is a very,
Oh
very
yeah.
topical interaction there. So like, I think GP Luffy obviously has a pretty hard time against any deck that can back to back Mulgun the first two Sanji Puddings. So I think overall, just probably the strongest in a vacuum red removal spell at the moment.
No, honestly, now that you mention it, the fact that it kills Sanji Pudding, that is huge actually. Like seven K, right? Like who cares about a seven
Yeah,
cost or a 9 cost or whatever with the stage? You can kill a 7K with this one card alone. That is huge actually. I didn't even think about that. And
yeah, and in the deck, like if you want to go as far as just putting it in like a Marco deck, Marco leader effect -2, and then Mulgun just says -5 pop a 2, so you can just pop a 9K. So in combination with other like power reduction, it just gets pretty strong.
oh yeah, you talk about the blue red Marco, right?
Yeah, blue red Marco.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like that blue red Marco can really utilize these power manipulation cards really well. And to the point that you talk about the kid, like I definitely have scenario because I mean, as you all know, I pretty much only play BY Luffy. I definitely have situation where like they shrink my Fizz Luffy, the 5 cost Luffy, and then they like use the second effect to pop like a Viola or something. Then all of a sudden that Luffy's like 3K. There's no way I'm protecting it. I lost my blocker. So no, this card is definitely really good. Also, like when it hits out a trigger, that's a
Oh
different
yeah,
problem.
that hurts. That hurts.
Dude, -5K is kind of like a beige, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Like worst case, you just -5K something, you can't pop something, I believe. So yeah, getting out of life is always amazing.
I think you can. It just says activate main. So if you have a 6K, you can pop.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if your opponent's attacking your life and maybe you don't have a 6K, I think you still get
Uh,
the power reduction, right?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
for
it's
sure,
like
for sure.
still like very good in that situation.
Yeah, at least can -5K with leader like beige.
True.
Anyways, all right. So that's enough about Morgan. Definitely, I mean, definitely a pretty amazing event, like you said, a little power crept. Next, we have this 3 cost chopper, and this chopper in my previous video, I definitely talk a lot about how good this card is, and yes, David agrees too. So, David, why don't you tell us why this card is so good?
Right. So the 3 cost chopper, we talked about it a little bit. Like, we talked about Marco, the leader, which is like one of the leaders that can utilize his chopper very well. Like this chopper has just become an engine for red decks. I think like if a red leader doesn't really have an archetype or like maybe its own engine that it can run with, usually you can just put in chopper with a bunch of animals and that's like good enough. So like Marco's example, Zoro, you could play all the choppers, buff them all by 1,000. Obviously, it's good in the red green chopper deck, which is what it's made for. You can also run some red green law variants where it's running like an animal package and you go wide super fast. And it's just so much value. Like every turn you don't deal with it, you get to flip the top 5 for free and then play out an animal. So it's a lot of just value if you don't deal with it. High priority target. Uh, it happens on play, so you get the immediate value. So it's just like so much value in one card.
Oh no, I mean, I definitely agree. Like when I was, so I'm sure everyone have this similar experience. When this card first came out, you play against a Zoro. Everyone can tell me. Like I'm sure this happened to you before too, David. It's like the Zoro player goes first. That one Dawn, they did nothing, and then you attack them. They play an event. They bring this out. Next turn, they bring out another one. Attack. All of a sudden, they have like 4 characters. This is just nuts,
Yeah, you know
actually.
what? I wasn't even thinking about cheating it out with the with the vent, but yeah, when Zoro or like the crazy one is like when Marco running the zoo package, when that first started appearing, Like Marco would just pass two up, and that seems innocent. So then you just attack into Marco, and then suddenly they play out that counter event that cheats out a chopper, and now you're so behind.
Oh
So
yeah,
like, yeah, it's just like in combination with what was that card called again? It's like
it's
shut up and
called
come
Shut
with
Up and
us.
Come With Us. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like in combination with that card, it's just like it puts it over the edge a little bit. But in a vacuum, I think it's already a very good card by itself.
Yeah, and you know what's annoying? Sometimes they just have one Dawn up, you're like, oh, I can't attack him, and then they don't have the event, then you feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
But no, this
So I think
card,
ultimately it comes down to I think the splashability of this engine, where you
mhm,
can run this chopper. Obviously, you do have to dedicate a little bit more of your deck slots to it, where you have to run multiple choppers. Maybe you swap your 2Ks for the specific animal, like 2Ks.
mhm.
Um, but what you get in return is like a very strong engine that can usually carry whatever deck you're playing like into the mid late game. And then you combine that with some top end, and you probably have a reasonable deck right there.
Yeah, what's like an ideal target with this chopper on top of your head?
Yeah, I mean it's easily just the blocker chopper. I
Oh
think the
yeah,
3/4. I think that's probably the strongest card because that by itself is also like a very high priority target.
hmm,
It does come out rested, but then the thing is like even if your opponent kind of swings into the rested unit that comes out from this chopper, like you're already getting advantage from the fact that your opponent has to attack a unit that was like a card that you did not have to play out of hand. So that's like an inherent like +1, if that
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense.
No, for sure. It's like a pseudo blocker, right? Like if they attack your leader, then you have to like lose a card or lose a life, and all of a sudden, like the body that comes out is free, and they still dedicated a swing on it. So no, for sure. This chopper, honestly, like I don't, I think they might have trouble printing some good smaller animal just because this chopper exists. We'll see, we'll see.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, this card is definitely like very flexible, like you said. Can play in the what is it, the RG Law, can play in the Marco, of course playing the Zoro heavily. Should have been playing the Chopper deck, but hey, we'll see what this Chopper has in store for us in the future. But yes, definitely deserve a number three spot. All right, next we have 9 cost Newgate. So this card is kind of a little before my time because I know the Whitebeard deck, the OPO2 Whitebeard, was just the most dominant deck. Got so many cards banned, and this was basically the strongest card in the deck. So David, when you were playing this, like what is how do you, what's your play experience with this card?
Yeah. So I think this pick is a little bit more contextual to the era. So like obviously today, nowadays, you don't see too many cards running this card,
Mm-hmm.
or too many decks running this card. But in its time, like it was just played in the strongest deck. And I didn't really play Whitebeard at the time. I was usually playing the deck that tried to beat Whitebeard. So I was on like the RG Law, which is like my favorite deck.
Nice. You're now
I
the
was
meta
on
slave.
Zoro. Yeah, 100%. And then in those games, like usually you could win if, your opponent had one Whitebeard or two Whitebeards. But when they drop the third Whitebeard and they're like one life, 8,000 liter for 3 turns in a row, and they're swinging out at you, it's like there's no deck that could beat it. So like the fact that it's now like it's like a searchable boss monster for, uh, Whitebeard during the time it was like the most powerful deck. It was just like it was very oppressive, I think, playing against like back to back to back copies of this card.
Yeah, yeah, and at the time, other than this Whitebeard, I don't think there's any other card that can buff the leader like that, right?
Yeah, that's true. That was a very unique effect just to Whitebeard, which I think played a lot into why it was so strong at the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I feel like any new deck is like 7K leader. You know, the new Roger, it's just 7K. But anyways.
Yeah, like all of the new OP13 leaders are like at minimum 6K leaders. Yeah.
I know in the starter deck they're printing all these cards make your leader just 7K for no reason. But anyways, I digress. But no, at the time this card, I mean, just look at it. I mean, the first effect, sometimes you feel like you don't want to attack their life when they're at one life because they're gonna lose a life anyway. But then they drop a white beard, and then you're like, oh wait a minute, they don't lose that life. Okay, have to attack them again.
Yeah.
Oh wait a minute, they're 8K. So
Honestly, yeah, honestly, in a lot of ways, it was like the original Black Yellow Luffy, right? Because instead of dropping Moria, 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 going to 9K every turn, you would do a Whitebeard, 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 go to 8K every turn. So
I feel
it's
like that's a
very
little less
similar in that
effort,
regard.
but for sure,
But I
yeah.
will say BY Luffy, like going up to that point, there's a lot more lines. So Whitebeard was more of just a face roll, like play curve and then go face.
Yeah, and at the time, pudding don't exist, so hey, they just have like 20
Yeah,
cards in hand, and you said counter out 26K with a rad beam and whatnot. And they also have a second effect. I rarely ever see it, but hey, I mean, you can kill Rebecca pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, that effect actually came up a lot because I think a popular matchup was the Red Green Law versus Whitebeard matchup.
Uh,
So that second effect where you attach two to pop a blocker, like Law had so many chump blockers at the time. So like if you use that effect and like attacked through one of the blockers was often backbreaking enough to beat the Law deck.
mm.
Another cool combo is like you have a nine cost Whitebeard out already, and then you play like a Rush Ace minus 3K to a 6K.
Oh,
Often,
wow.
like a blocker law or something is 6K, minus it down to a 3,
Wait,
attach it to
that's
your Whitebeard,
nuts,
attack it,
actually.
and then
Wow.
offset.
That's nuts, actually. I didn't even
Yeah.
think about that.
So that
Okay.
second effect in its time, I think, was actually used a lot more.
No, that's actually now that you mention it, in combination with that rush ace to kill a blocker law, that is quite insane. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, after you attach two dons, 12k swing too. There's no way you're blocking it. But yes, this white beard, we'll see. Maybe it'll make a comeback in the future. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's definitely a very strong card at the time. So okay, so now before we get into number one, there's like red card has a few pretty promising candidates, but now we move on to the honorable mention before we move on to number one. So honorable mention. So I think there's one card here that I didn't think it was that good, but David definitely thinks so. Is this Rush Zoro? So David, can you tell me a little bit why this Rush Zoro is so good and deserve a spot here?
I just think the value is insane. It's got a fully statted vanilla, which is 3/5, and you get Rush out of it. And Rush basically just says +1 instantly on a card.
Uh,
Um, I don't know. I think it's just like always like a very solid value.
mhm.
It's always indexed that Rush most of the time. Like I would argue that Rush Shanks could have been playing this card because they can actually protect it once it's rested with leader effects.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we were actually like cooking a little bit with in EBO2 format with Shanks, where we had a full Rush version with a full set of Rush Thoros that was actually performing pretty well. So I think this card is always relevant as long as red is around. And they really haven't printed a card that fills that same niche. I think the closest is Kid Killer, but
Mm-hmm.
Kid Killer becomes a lot more situational where it gets like more value in the late game, but if you draw it on curve, it doesn't feel that good to play on curve.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Zorshadoro, if you draw it on curve, you can play it. If you get late game, it's a little less strong than Kid Killer, but you can still rush and swing out like for 7-9 with your leader.
Yeah.
So I think it's just versatile and it just always has a place to be considered in red decks.
Now that you mention it, like, so like there are definitely cards right now you feel like it's power crept, but there were definitely I feel like Zoro is one of those cards where in the beginning they printed this card and say like 3 5 rush is not that big of a deal. But then if you think about like the subsequent version of like a 3 5 rush, they're all a little worse than this Zoro. The one on top of my mind is the yellow one, the yellow three
Mm.
five. I think it says something like there's a condition. I think you have to have like 2 life or something in order to give that one rush. So yeah, I
Yeah, I think
mean,
it's just like less life than your opponent.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, 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 you're right, you're right. Yeah, less life than your opponent. So to me, it's like if the later card that they printed is like a fixed version of this original Zoro, which kind of makes it kind of feel like they back then when they first printed the card and feel like it's a mistake, and then made the subsequent cards a little weaker. So hey, I mean to that,
Yeah, but to be fair, like I think that's a little bit on Bandai, kind of like disturbing the color identity a little bit. It's like
mm-hmm.
yellow shouldn't really have this rush card to begin with, whereas like, rush is kind of part of the red identity. So I think that's a little bit why they should make rush and yellow a little less strong, if not just not print a rush card in yellow at all. So
Then
I think
why
that's a
does
little bit on
then
Bandai's design.
if you say that, then why does purple has a 9 mom that heals? I thought heals a yellow
No,
identity.
that card is the most egregious example of that. I think that card is such bad design.
No, 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 because I keep losing to that card. So no. Hopefully the next ban list will do something about it. Anyways,
Yeah, like
we all we all
that
know
card should be a
Bandai
yellow
loves
card. Like
purple.
I'm fine with that being in yellow, but not in purple.
I know they can ramp into it, but anyways, no, for sure. If we talk about color identity, this red Zoro, when I first read this card, I was just like, it just. I mean, 3 5 rush. What's so special about it? But if you put it in context, like play on curve, like you said, can soak up an attack. It's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, they're just super solid at all part of the game. And the rest of them, The Sanji I know is always, I mean, it's pretty much a staple in bunch of new red deck just because, I mean, so much value. Yeah, what do you think about the Sanji here?
Yeah, the three cost Sanji. This is like just a really solid card in a vacuum. If you think about it, like it's on the board. If it doesn't get removed, it's automatically swinging for six, and your opponent basically has to swing into it and let you draw a card. And then in that interaction, you're like just drawing a card and you're blocking a card.
Yeah,
So it's like a plus one in a vacuum. So like that value, like kind of micro interaction, just like generates such a great advantage. Especially like against a deck, for example, that doesn't really have small early units and they have to swing their leader into it. That's when you get like the maximum value out of Sanji.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. No, like
yeah,
the
so I
like
think like just enabling that kind of back and forth makes this card super strong.
yeah, no, like you said, it always have something to do early. When you swing early, eat a counter or something, and then afterward they kill it. Okay, you draw a card. You're okay with that exchange too. So, for sure, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so we do have the number one to get to. And yeah, the rest of these cards are all very good in their respective formats. But without further ado, let's jump to our number one. Drum roll, please. All right. Anyways, all right. Number one, we got the Rayleigh. Okay, so I have so much to talk about this card. But David, why don't you tell us why is this card so good?
Sure, I can kick us off. I think like in a vacuum, this card might just be the strongest card, like value-wise, you get in one card in red. It might not be as meta defining or meta warping as some other red cards, but just in terms of like the raw value you get, I feel like this card does deserve this spot. It's almost in a way like Red Gecko, where 8/9 Gecko in black will let you generate a bunch of resources in terms of like bodies you put on the field, but you reducing two cards and popping one, and then the reduction stays for a whole cycle is a
Yes.
lot of just like kind of invisible card advantage that's almost as good. Um, so I think that puts it at the number one spot for us. And you're still generating the AA body. So I think it's like, yeah, just like a lot of, I guess like it's a huge stat on top of like a strong effect.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I actually might play experience against this card. Like I mean, it's kind of like the mole gun, right? You can do the -3, -2 on different thing, and then kill like a 3K of a small blocker. Like I think this card is nuts. Like you can, I mean, again, I play mostly BY Luffy, but I definitely have a scenario where like they -3 on my Fist Luffy, -2 on I don't know a Kuzan, and then kill like Viola or Rebecca or something, and then it's like oh your guys are smaller. I kill your blocker for free, and then swing to those rested characters. It's basically one card that clear all of them, and even if for whatever reason I can protect those cards, this effect lasts till the end of their end of my turn. So I think this card has so it's just so strong actually. Yeah, I'm sure.
Right. It's like it effectively gives you like what 7K worth of counter out of nowhere.
Yeah,
uh, so it's like yeah, a ton of like kind of hidden card advantage that comes out of getting more favorable trades. So this is very good, and obviously if you combo it with other power reductions, it gets even stronger.
yeah,
Obviously, it's like extremely strong in the Marco deck. Red blue Marco with the leader effect of being able to -2 something. Um, and yeah, I think it'll just always be in the conversation again. If you're thinking of like red top end, it'll always like be a consideration.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Like I know at the time the Dofi deck is one of the most popular deck when this card was popular in Shanks, and this card can single handedly carry that matchup. Like a -3 on the Boa, or even like -3, -2 on two Warlord and kill the two cost Teach. That's just such value to me. Like, yeah, no, this card is we'll see what happens in the future. I mean, unfortunately, it's former Roger Pirate, not Roger Pirate. So I don't think it's searchable. Is it searchable in the new Roger deck? I don't think it is, right?
I'm not sure actually. I think it depends on how the searcher is worded. I know in the past, like you couldn't search the 10 cost Kuzan because it said like former Navy,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
also because the searcher had the Navy type in brackets, so it had to be like exactly Navy. So I think it
Oh.
depends on how it's worded, maybe. But I think even if you could search in Rayleigh, I don't know if you'd play it just because Rayleigh's more of like a low to the ground aggro deck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, okay, for sure, for sure. But yeah, Well, this concludes our top five of the strongest red card till up to this point, which is what, end of OP11. I'm sure in the future we'll have more power crept cards, but right now this is just what we think about. If there's anything that you think we may have missed, feel free to put in the comment section. But otherwise, David, thank you so much for joining us to talk about all these fantastic cards.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
All right, talk to you next time. All right.